right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in to NorCal Sports Network. The Giants take it on the chin tonight in L.A., 2-1. A very frustrating performance by the Giants. We'll get into it with Ned Colletti, our special guest. But first, let us thank our sponsor of this show, Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group is located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call for all your legal needs. You got a personal injury situation, make sure you call Chapman Law Group before settling with an insurance company, because you may leaving yourself thousands of dollars on the table. Give Chapman Law Group a call, 415-613-9483, and let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, now, Ned, welcome on in. Giants-Dodgers is always fun, especially this time of the year when it means something for both teams. And wow, the Dodgers walked 10 batters tonight, Ned. And I heard, I was listening to the Dodgers broadcast. I heard Joe Davis say it's the first time in 48 years that a team has walked 10 batters and only given up one run. Another way to look at it, you received 10 walks and were only able to score one run. Giants got one hit. Or maybe it was first time. I may have got that wrong. 10 times walked with only one hit. They got one hit all night. They had one hit yesterday through 9 in Arizona until they broke out with a few hits in the 11th. Not a good time to have your bats go silent.
No, and their record is 500 basically, and
yeah,
they're in the wild card technically, but they're a 500 club, so tough to do much at the 500 level.
It's a 500 club, and it's been remarkably. This is a remarkable stat I heard the other day. This was a few days ago, so it's probably still pretty close. The last 500 games, the Giants were 250. The last 400, they were 200 and 200. The last 200, they were 100 and 100. And after 150 this year, well, we could have said after 152, they were 76 and 76. Now they're 76 and 77. So this team has been 500 since 2022. And
that is crazy numbers, what you just read.
Yeah.
That's like almost impossible. It's like Stan Musial had the same amount of hits at home as on the road and had over 3,000 hits. But what you just said, I can't believe it's a 500 club. We didn't prove it any more than what you just said.
Yeah. This question comes up right off the top. Someone's asking you, have you ever seen a major league team with the 3-4 hole hitters having a 226 and 234 batting average?
Not that I can recall. And that's part of the struggle. You've got to get production from that part of your lineup. No matter who you lead off or who you hit at the end, and you don't have a pitcher to hit. The guys in the middle lineup, they got to be able to do some damage, and you got to do that by getting on base, by driving in runs, and having 226 and 234. It's not going to cut it. And they're better players than that, better hitters than that.
Yeah. Accept the reality, folks. We're done. Yeah, absolutely. Giants are toast. It's they're 4 back of the Mets, 3 back in the official standings, but with the tiebreaker, they're 4 back. The Giants, if the Giants won the rest of their games, look at this way. If the Giants went 9-0, the Mets would have to go 5-4 in their last 9 for the Giants to get in. So,
well, I'm not, the 500 thing you said is pretty interesting, but I don't think 9-0 is coming up.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so. I just need them to get to 80 at least. I took the over this year. They're 4 wins away.
Selfish, Danny. So selfish.
Hey, I put this out today, Ned, 6 hours ago when I saw the lineup. Okay. This was my tweet on Twitter. You could see it right there 6 hours ago. And I said, I am tired of seeing Willie Adames and Matt Chapman back-to-back in the order. Too many rally-killing Ks. Am I the only one who sees this? Put Lee at the top of the order and leave him there. And then I went through the rest of the batting order as I saw it. And I posted something the other day very similar. I said, this has got to stop. You can't keep putting – and it goes to the question that the guy had asked you, have you seen a 3-4 hitter hit this? Look, you can't have – you got to have some contact hitters in there. And this is why this team has failed so many times with runners in scoring position, because the one thing where nothing good happens is when you don't hit the ball. If you put the ball in play, anything can happen. And
you could even score a run on a double play ball.
Yeah.
But you can't score anything on a strikeout.
Right. And this has been happening way too long, too often. Look, Chapman and Adames are good players. But they need to be switched up in the lineup. That's all I'm saying. I move them around. You got to find a contact hitter. If you're going to bat them at the top of the order, you got to put somebody that makes consistent contact in between them, because it's too easy for teams to look at the lineup and go, okay, well, we can pitch around this guy.
Yep.
Let this guy beat us. So, but the Dodgers gain a game on the Padres, so they're technically 4 up because they are now, I believe it's 3. Let me double check the standings on that. I think the Padres have a 3-game lead, or the Dodgers have a 3-game lead over the Padres. Yes, and it's 4, just like the Mets are over the Giants. Padres, Dodgers hold the tiebreaker there. So, and that's important because the Dodgers have struggled mightily with their bullpen and getting guys in consistent order. If they're able to win this division early in the week, next week, by Tuesday, let's say, that helps them put everything together for the playoffs. What you don't want to do is go into the last day of the season needing to win the division, because
I don't see them going to the last day.
I don't see it now either.
No, I think they'll wrap it up sooner than later. And I think the thing that separates them from the other teams is really their starting pitching. You guys know Snell. You got Snell and Yamamoto, and Glasnow's pitched great.
Yeah.
Other teams have maybe somebody as good as Snell, but they don't have 2 or 3.
Right.
So when you can walk those 3 guys out there, plus the guys that are going to go to the bullpen from their rotation, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with, especially in short series. I don't know if they're going to catch Philly, so they're probably going to have the best of 3 to start, which puts a little bit more wear and tear on their pitching staff. But nobody can march out the guys that they do to start games. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I don't see how it's going to be tough for teams to beat them with that pitching, because pitching is crucial in a short series. And you've got, like you said, you got Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow. Now you've got guys like Sheehan who could come in.
Pitch very well.
You got Ohtani that can pitch. They're going to be, in my opinion, they're still the favorites just because of the pitching.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't see the American League as much as I see the National League. But again, I don't know who's got that type of pitching. Plus, you mentioned Shohei. Who's got that as a secret weapon, so to speak? Who's got that as the wild card in a staff? Nobody. He can come in and close a game out. He can give you could be in a 1-run game in the 7th inning and bring him in for the rest. You're not going to bring him in back to back, or you're going to put a lot of air in between one appearance to the next. But who's got that? He's been terrific. He's been guarded, and they've taken care of him. But we don't even we don't even think about him as one of the guys in the rotation because he's probably not going to be that. But when you got that weapon, playoff baseball is all about buying outs, getting to the end, and no matter who can do it, your fourth starter, your fifth starter, pitching in the middle of the game out of the pen, or a guy like Ohtani, that's difference making.
Yeah, it really is. It is, and it's huge because playoff baseball, the games, everything gets shorter. Guys, you'll see managers pull starters out in the third inning just because if they're not perfectly mowing them down and there's a situation where they need somebody else, they bring them in. One of the guys that we haven't talked about that may see some action, and that is Clayton Kershaw. And Mark Graves says, are you going to be sad when Kershaw retires? And then Dante Care 187 says, thank you, Ned, for Kershaw, as you drafted him, going to the game tomorrow.
Well, it's and I can't discount the emotion that I feel with him. I've known him since he was 18. I can remember sitting in Shea Stadium with his wife Ellen, who was his girlfriend, and way back, and just seeing him from the beginning. And when you have the career that he's had, and he's arguably the best pitcher of the generation, his one-loss record is magnificent. I think the best of anybody that's pitched as many innings as he has in the history of the game, pretty much. And the strikeouts to walks at the beginning of his career, he had a tough time with command. We not only drafted him, but I was the only guy to ever send him down. I sent him to the minor leagues because his command wasn't good enough at the time. Look back at his first year or two. He struck out a 2-to-1 ratio. 2-to-1 ratios don't work in the big leagues. So, and then he ended up maybe setting the record years later for the best strikeout walk ratio. But somebody who always gave their utmost, always. And yeah, he had some rough playoff games here and there, and I witnessed them firsthand. But I think when I look at a player or even a person, I always ask, and John Sherholtz, the great Atlanta general manager.
Yeah.
When I got the job in LA, he called me to congratulate me, and I said, John, give me something that won't ruin the Braves, but will give me something to think about. This is almost 20 years ago. And he said, I always ask myself, can I trust a player? Can I trust a person? And there was not one moment in the last almost 20 years, because in June next year, it'll be 20 years since the Dodgers drafted him, with great scouts that really did a lot of great work on him, that there was not one moment that I didn't trust who he is, that the utmost he was going to provide, no matter how he felt and no matter what the situation was. And I can't say that about everybody. I can say it about a lot of people, but none of them with the record that he has. And he's just, the best are the best for a reason. There's reasons why somebody's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right.
And you can look at statistics and figure that out. That, okay, well, that's what it is. But when you look at the total concept of the game and the context of the game, I should say, and what he did and how he did it, it's really incredible. And a great person, great family guy, their fifth child on the way, he and Ellen.
That's awesome.
Given a lot of time and a lot of financial support to many people, not just in the Dallas, Texas area where he lives and grew up, not just in the LA area where he pitched his entire career, but across the globe.
He does a lot of mission work, I believe, doesn't he?
I think he built an orphanage in Africa.
Yeah. He's a first-class guy. I mean, I really, a lot of guys, I don't know if it comes with age. I got a lot of younger people in my chat that, he's a Dodger. I hate him, and I was that way
because you wish he was a Giant.
Yeah,
you wouldn't hate him if he was a Giant. But I understand.
But as I get older, I look at the players and I really respect guys like Betts and Freeman, guys that are, first-class players on and off the field. And I'm sure many others are. Probably most major leaguers are pretty solid people, but, when you see that type of career and just, he hasn't – I haven't followed him too much. Maybe you can help, but it seems like he's pitched okay this year, hasn't he?
He's pitched very well.
I thought he had, yeah.
Yes.
So he's
10-2,
choosing.
I think, with an ERA in the low threes after, and he had a tough game the last time out. I think in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he gave up 4 in the first, but then he settled down.
But that was maybe his toughest start of the season.
Yeah,
I mean, he had an ERA in the 2s for most of the year.
Yeah, he's in the 3s.
Didn't start when the season started. It took him a little while to come back, but it's not through lack of performance that he's going home.
There's his numbers for the season, 25. He's got a 1.2 WAR. He's got 10 wins, 2 losses, 3.5 ERA. Hey, those are excellent numbers for today's game. And 20 starts. Strikeouts are down, but that's going to happen with age. But, I like the fact that he's decided to retire and he didn't wait till it was too late. He's going out on his terms. He's obviously, when you look at those numbers right there, everyone, he's still got enough in the tank. Look at Justin Verlander. We've seen a resurgence from Justin Verlander at 42, who his last 4 starts has a 0.36 ERA. He's only given up 1 run, I believe, in his last 4 starts. He's been phenomenal, Verlander.
Yes.
So these Hall of Fame pitchers are Hall of Famers, like you said, Ned, for a reason.
Go back, if you would, 1 second to that stat, his career numbers there.
Okay, let me pull that right up here. Okay.
This, to me, is one of the most amazing things. This is a person that will start his 450th game tomorrow night.
Wow.
And he has not lost 100 regular season games after all of that. That number, the 222 and the 96, I don't think you ever see that. I don't think we'll ever see that many wins over losses again.
Yeah.
First of all, the game's changed, and they say they don't value wins as much. I'm not sure how the standings are put together if they're not put together by wins and losses. But to be 126 games over 500, to be more games over 500 than he's lost. Tell me where that is, where there's somebody else that's doing that, is on that type of pace.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
I think he's had a phenomenal career, and he'll go out tomorrow night. It's going to be a packed house. It's a Friday night. It's Giants-Dodgers. Yeah. It's his last home start of the regular season of his career. It may be his last appearance in Dodger Stadium. We don't know. Correct. We don't know if he'll pitch in the playoffs. It's a 3-game series. And if for some reason the Dodgers end up losing in that 3-game series at home and there's not a spot for Kershaw, this may be his last time you see him tomorrow night in LA.
Yep. As I said, I've known him half his life, I guess, maybe a touch more. But, lately, the last calendar year, I see him more at peace with his career than I've ever seen it. He looks like he's finally taken a breath and looked back just for a second. He's not somebody that's going to look back and think about the past and live in the past. But there's just a peace to him. And he mentioned it today in his press conference that he's at peace with this decision. And for as competitive as he is, to feel that way and to feel good about what he's done, which he should feel great about what he's done. It's pretty remarkable. So back to the question that I guess started this conversation. Yeah, I am a bit sad, but you know what? I'm also blessed to have watched him and to have gotten to know him and to see not only how he pitches, but who he is. And it'll be one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah.
And it's simple. It's one of the highlights of my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Clayton Kershaw tomorrow night, last time as a Dodger at home during the regular season. He may have some postseason appearances. That's yet to be determined. But one of the things we like to do here on the show, Ned, is after a game, we quickly like to break it down. And just taking a look here at the box score tonight, the Giants' only hit was a Patrick Bailey hit, who's hitting .219, by the way, on the season. Everyone else was an 0-4. And if you look at the strikeout column, the Giants had, it's not showing me on this particular.
Well, go down to the
box
pitching
score.
line. You'll see it on the pitching line.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's see what the Dodgers had. 14.
14.
Wow. 14 strikeouts. The Giants only had 5 strikeouts.
That's more than half the outs.
Yeah. 27 outs in the game, and you had 14 strikeouts, and you had 10 free gifts.
Yes.
That's like, my goodness, 10 free hits. They walked 4, Ned, in the 7th, and Giants were only able to get 1 run.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you got to capitalize on walks. Any pitching coach will tell you that your pitching staff is going to struggle if you're constantly walking people. First of all, the pitch count's going to rise. But second of all, you can't let people just get on base without working to get there.
Yeah.
But when you've got all those walks and you're trying to get to the postseason and you score once, well, that's not good. Where the game is at too. I mean, go back if you could there, Danny, to the batting averages.
Oops,
and not to pick on the Giants.
There
I mean, this is almost throughout the game. You got a couple 250 hitters at the top, 226, 234, 242. 238, 219, 210. I know it's a young player, 205. I mean, that's where the game's at. On the other side, you got Michael Conforto, 197, and you've got, Max Muncy, huge power, 240. It used to be that you had a shortstop that might hit 220.
230. Yeah.
But he could pick it up. He was
Johnny LeMaster type guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He could pick it up. And so you lived with it. Del Maxville. Mark Belanger. But today it's almost common. If you've got a guy hitting 250, people are going, wow, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Years ago, it was just below average. It's funny sometimes when I look at like the trade rumors site, and they'll talk about a player that got traded or is retiring, and they'll go through the batting average and the on-base percentage and the slugging percentage. And they'll say, really, has had a great year, great career, slashing 238, and it's like, whoa. Who is this?
Yeah.
Lost. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It really hasn't been entertaining. It's hard to watch. And it's funny, the game seems to change a little bit in the playoffs more because teams bear down a little bit more, and they'll make a sacrifice. There'll be a man on third with less than 2 out, and you'll see a guy just try to make contact early in the game just to get that 1 run across.
Yes.
Instead of
it's a different that you can understand a little bit, because it gets tougher. But when you think about, it's just the thing that and I'm not a mathematical genius, right? So when you think about how the ERA is so much higher than it was 20, 30 years ago. I mean, it's almost the same thing as the batting average. If you had an ERA in the low 2s, that was pretty good. Now, if you have an ERA in the mid 3s or 4.
Yeah, we just saw Clayton's at 3.5, and I said, hey, that's a great season.
Yeah. So the ERAs have gone up, which should indicate that the batting average should be going up. Like everybody ought to be hitting at least 250, and some guy, there ought to be a bunch of 300 hitters.
It's all
and maybe there's somebody out there that's a mathematical wizard, maybe from Palo Alto or something, that can explain how could you have ERAs so high, and the rules haven't changed as to how you calculate it, and batting averages so low. There's no correlation between the two.
I think it's the 3-run homer, Ned.
Yeah.
I think guys are giving up going only 6. And think about this. You give up 3 runs and you pitch 6 innings, it's considered a quality start in baseball now.
Yeah, it's a 4.5 ERA.
Now exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody's happy with someone who goes 6 and doesn't give up more than 3. That is not a quality start in the 60s and 70s. Bob Gibson, what was his ERA in that 68 season? 1.12.
Like
yeah, 1.12.
We just had something on Instagram yesterday or today with the amount of innings each of his starts were. I mean, it was stunning. I mean, that is so far in the past. I heard something today to your point about the 3-run homer, and I didn't see it worked up. I was just in conversation with somebody who told me that the Milwaukee Brewers have the best record in baseball going into today, and they're 1 game under 500 when they don't hit a home run. And everybody else is worse than that.
Wow.
So teams just live and die by the home run, apparently.
Well, the Giants' big hot streak when they won 11 of 12.
Yeah.
That was during the stretch. They had 18 straight games they hit a home run.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, and they lost. They had won 11 of 12, and they lost 2 in St. Louis to make it 11 out of 14. Those 2 games they did not hit a home run. So
there you go.
It's crazy.
I was surprised at when the person told me that. That the Brewers have the best record in baseball. They were like 23-24 or 24-25 prior to tonight in games that they didn't hit a home run, and that was the best.
Yeah, we did get a Bob Gibson-like performance tonight. I watched the Cincinnati Reds down the Cubs 1-0. Hunter Green went 9 innings, 1 hitter.
Yeah.
And he's got nasty stuff.
Oh, yes.
And I said to myself, I saw that Hunter Green was pitching against the Cubs, and I go, that's a recipe for disaster for the Cubs because they just clinched last night. I don't know how many. Here's a betting tip, everybody. When a team clinches, the next day, just bet their scoring totals they're under because they are hungover. They've partied that night. And they have enjoyed themselves, and their heads.
They may also be playing the bench players.
Yeah, and it's just the way it happens. But I have a question for you, and this is the Giants brought up Monday their young 20-year-old star Bryce Eldridge, who's projected to be a 35 to 40 plus home run hitter someday. I don't expect a lot from him right now, although he has had some quality at bats. He has struck out quite a bit, but he's hit 3 balls over 100 miles per hour that turned into outs. 2 went to the wall. Tonight, he hit another one over 100 miles per hour off of a lefty, by the way, and he's a left-handed batter. And in the 8th inning, I believe it was the 8th inning tonight, he was due up first. Yeah, it was right after Chapman struck out in the 7th. He batted 5th. So he was due up first to lead off the 5th, and they pinch hit for him. Is that a lot of people I've got text and people were upset. I had some people say they just turned the game off right then and there. What do you make of that? I know they brought in a veteran, Wilmer Flores, to face the lefty. So you're trying to win a game. You're trying to get into a playoff. You're in a playoff chase. I understand it in theory because it makes more sense for Wilmer Flores to hit off of somebody, and that's what he really is just one of the better pinch hitters in baseball. But is that do anything to a young player's confidence when he's supposed to be it? He's been it all his life, and now he gets up to the big leagues and you're not it. We're replacing you.
I would find it hard to believe that somebody's confidence would be derailed because he got pinch hit for the 5th inning of a game. If that's going to derail somebody's confidence and dilute it and crush it, they're going to have a lot more difficulty than that. It's a game of failure. So you're going to go through far more things than being pinch hit for against Yamamoto.
Yeah.
You know.
And it was a lefty. I can't remember which lefty it was.
You know?
All right, here's another way of asking it. You're a former general manager who called other GMs to inquire about trades, and you had people calling you for trades. If GMs are calling for Bryce Eldridge, everybody wants Bryce Eldridge, they say. Are you lowering the asking price to say, hey, you benched him his second game because you didn't play him against the lefty?
It means nothing.
It means nothing?
It means zero.
Okay. Too early in his career?
Less than zero besides a negative number?
It's just too early in his career to
it doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
He's a young player. This is a chance to get him a little bit of experience. It's not going to make or break his career. I doubt it's going to ruin his confidence. Yeah. And it's not going to ruin any value for him. And why would they get rid of him at this stage? Yeah. If your scouting report is accurate, 35, 40 home runs or 30, 35 home runs, why would you be moving a 20-year-old player like that? I mean, you don't do it. Part of the issue with, I guess with sports talk fans and this is the toughest thing to have is patience. But you got to have patience. I mean, if he had 120 at bats and he was hitting 120, yeah, cool, all right, yeah. Then you may have an issue. But he's a kid. He's just getting here, and you built him up pretty good with your scouting report there, Danny. So, and you've been talking about him. I haven't been on a whole lot this season, but almost every time I'm on, you're talking about him. So, are you done with him already?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay.
No, I'm saying I think he should have just let him play. I mean, well, I think the guy here's a tweet on Tuesday night that JT Snow put up for an hour and then deleted. It was a little controversial. So he was he said Bryce is not in the lineup tonight. What the blank? He can hit lefties. I saw him rake lefties and sack. Come on, let him play. Time to stop coddling players. No reason to watch tonight. Bummed. The guy had
JT said that?
JT said that.
The real JT?
The real JT. Yeah, he took it down. I can I think I've got it.
We don't need to see it. That's cool.
Okay.
We'll take your word for it.
JT said it. But he may not appreciate me bringing it up right now. He tried to bury it, but it's out there. And like I said, it was deleted, but he had an 824, something like that. I think it was an 824 OPS against lefties this year. And let me see. I've got his I've actually got his numbers right here. Yeah, he hit 270 with an 824 OPS versus left-handed pitching in this season. So I think I don't know. I kind of like those odds. I think Ned froze. There he is. Okay, he's back. All right. Anyway, I think I don't know, but at this point, the Giants are 4 back of the Mets, and it's going to take a miracle like 1951 for the Giants to make a shot at this. But I think it's over. But Ned, what do you think of the Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers, Mets, Padres? Let's see. Did I get them all in? Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers, Cubs, Mets, Padres. Those 6 look like they're going to be in. Who do you see representing the National League in the World Series?
And this isn't because I worked there for a long time and still live there. It's not that. I don't know who beats the Dodgers because, as I said a little while ago, the starting pitching. Philly's missing Zach Wheeler. Philly's a great team. You got Zach Wheeler pitching like Blake Snell and healthy like Blake Snell and Yamamoto. Yeah, you may have a chance. Yeah. But you're gonna have maybe game one, if all things are equal, maybe game one is a toss-up because you got two great starting pitchers going out there. In game two, I think everything changes. I think the Dodgers have the upper hand. In game three, the Dodgers have the upper hand. So, and probably in game four, if it's a 7-game series, the Dodgers have the upper hand because nobody has what they have.
Mm.
They're all good teams. Milwaukee's had a tremendous year.
Yeah.
But
I don't see Milwaukee.
Are they going to be able to match up to starting pitching? And is their offense going to be able to keep it even by being able to hit Snell or be able to hit Yamamoto or be able to hit Glasnow? Are they going to be able to do that? Are they going to be in a tight game and be able to do something against Ohtani that really nobody's done all year against him when he pitches? So,
right.
I think they've had a tough year. In a way, because they haven't won 112 games like everybody thought they were going to win. But they're still the best team. And as you write the history of a season, unless you're writing in tiny little type, if you're writing in bold-face, big type, the month of October is where the history is written. Yeah. It's not written in any other month. So who's better than they are right now? They got Muncy back. They got, Teo's had a little bit of a rough year, but they got Muncy, Teo, Page. They got guys that other teams don't have either. And they got the top 3 guys that other teams don't have. So is it possible that they get beat in the first round? Absolutely, because that's the game. But if we're talking today, if we're talking on the 18th of September, and we're talking about who's got the best chance and why they would have the best chance, I don't know anybody better than the Dodgers when it comes to having the chance they've got because of the pitching they can run out there. Now, if they go 3 games, okay, and they prevail, okay, game 1 of the next round might be a little bit difficult because it may be somebody else's ace against maybe their number 4.
Right.
Perhaps. But,
yeah. Who would they match up with? How does it's 3-6-4-5 in the opening 3-game set. 4-5 right now looks like the Padres at the Cubs, and then it looks like right now today Mets at the Dodgers. So I can't remember, does Major League Baseball reseed, or does the winner of 3-6 match up against the 1 seed?
I'd have
or the 2 seed. Maybe it's the 2 seed. I think it's the 2 seed, right? Yeah. And then 4-5 plays the 1 seed.
I think so. I don't hold me.
Yeah.
I haven't had
somebody in the chat might know that. I haven't looked that up. If you guys know that, how that works out, because that would line up where the Dodgers, if they won their first series, would face the Phillies in Philadelphia for the first 2 games, and then it would come back to LA for 2. And if there's a game 5, it would go back to Philly. That is going to be a heck of a series, in my opinion, because the Phillies do have a couple of good pitchers. They have Christopher Sanchez, who's had a great year, and Ranger Suarez has been pretty solid. And they are lefties, which the Dodgers lineup is somewhat lefty dominant in Ohtani, Freeman, Muncy, and I guess those are 3 big lefties that they put out there. But I think that's going to be a heck of a series if that comes to fruition. The Padres Cubs would be a great series in the wild card round. I think if it's the Dodgers Mets, the Mets pitching just can't match up.
No,
just can't match up.
They got 4s and 5s.
Yeah, they got 4s and 5s.
They run 4 and 5s out there.
Yeah. The only way the Padres could give the Dodgers a run is if somehow they can get 4 to 5 good innings out of their starter and that bullpen comes in with a lead.
Well, when's the last time that happened? The Dodgers have taken it to them all year long.
Yeah. And
really,
it looks
since the, what was it, the 4th game last year of the playoffs? San Diego had a chance to clinch.
Yeah.
Dodgers had a bullpen game.
Yeah.
And San Diego got, I think, maybe shut out and then got got beaten in the deciding game, and off it went. That was the best chance anybody had to beat the Dodgers last year, was in that game, in the bullpen game, fourth game, elimination game. That was it. After that, it got to be easy, and the Yankees just didn't have it.
Yeah,
maybe they got it this year. I don't know. They got some guys that you can run out there, but for me, the postseason always comes down to how do you pitch. Not that the regular season doesn't, that does too, but how do you pitch, and who's starting the game, and what are they going to give you? Because you know what, it gets tough to score late in games.
Right.
It's you got a 4-1 lead in the seventh inning. It's tough if you're in the playoffs and you've got yourself obviously a pretty good bullpen. It's tough to score at that point in time if the starting pitching's out.
Right.
It's
now, I got a little history question for you, because we possibly could see some history this year. In 1951, when the New York Giants came back to beat the Brooklyn Dodgers, weren't they back down like 11 sometime in mid-August?
Yes.
It was 11, right?
It was about that, yeah.
Okay.
The number and the dates.
Here's something that's really, really interesting, and I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring the standings up for us. The Cleveland Guardians were 12 and a half games back on August 25th. They are now, after sweeping the Tigers today, 3.5 back, 3 in the loss column only, and they've got 3 in Cleveland next week. This would be an all-time.
Yeah.
I mean, as late as August 25th. That's the season ends September 28th. That's like just over a month.
Oh,
they have gained 9 games on the Tigers. The Tigers, if the Indians, here I go with my memory, my history. If the Guardians pull this out, the Tigers will probably fail to make the playoffs altogether after being, gifted the division for months. This could be historical. This would be a historical collapse.
Yes.
And
they're thinking, they're thinking about it. They may not tell you they're thinking about it, but everybody's thinking about it.
What's it like in a clubhouse?
Oh,
what happens when a team is just crumbling like this, and you got somebody chasing you and you just keep losing and losing? What's going through the minds of the front office and the clubhouse itself?
Well, it's a tough time, and people know it. And when you're winning, I mean, right now, Cleveland cannot wait for the next game. Detroit is probably wondering what's going to happen in the next game. Sometimes you expect to win, sometimes you expect to lose. And Detroit's, has had a tremendous season. But again, it's tough to win. And they've stalled. And their best pitcher came back today, but he's been a little bit.
And they didn't get the win. He pitched great, but
So you've again, do I know everything about them? No, I don't. But you just look at the surface facts. They brought their best guy back today because of the magnitude of the game. And if they had a 7 or 8 game lead with 9 to play, are they bringing him back? I doubt it. But they put the money at the middle of the table, so to speak. They put their chips in, and then they get beat. That's tough. I can go back and this is not the same thing. It's somewhat similar, but I can go back to the 2002 World Series, which was painful. We have a 5-0 lead in Game 6, and then you crumble, and you get beaten Game 6, and you're on the road, and you had a chance to win. It's so hard to lose Game 6 on the road and win Game 7. It just is.
Yeah.
Because people feel momentum. And it takes great leadership and tremendous concentration and just tremendous focus, not to be caught up in the questions, not to be caught up in, the negativity of this situation. But many teams, I bet you more teams end up struggling to get in or not getting in than are able to say, all right, let's stop it right here. And we're gonna go 7-2 the last 9.
Right. It's interesting that you talk about that with the 0-2. 10 years later, you talk about momentum being such a big thing. The Giants are down 2-0 in Cincinnati.
Yes.
Come back and win all 3. Yes. And then they're down 3-1 against St. Louis and come back and win all 3. And then they just sweep the Tigers for it. That's all. That's momentum. That is what you're talking about.
Yes. But see, it's easier for them in a way because they're down. Hunter Pence came into the dugout that day, rallied the troops. They're playing on the road. They're facing elimination. Okay, what do we got to lose? Let's just go play, gentlemen. And boom, and off they go. And then they get down again. And what happens? The same thing. And off they go. The momentum right now, you got to ask yourself, even though Detroit's got their lead, if you'd rather be Cleveland or Detroit, who would you rather be?
Yeah, it's a good
question. A lot
of
people say, well, I'd rather be, the team in the lead. Yeah, okay. But, you're giving it up little by little.
Yeah, that's a lot to lose. And then to get swept, and then you have to face them next week. And now you're going, I think Detroit goes to Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. And Atlanta's playing for nothing. And so their guys they're starting to hit. They're playing loose and free.
They have a good team. Alex Anthopoulos does a great job.
Yeah.
They've got a good team.
Is it easier for players that you find when there's no chips on the table just to go out and play loose versus?
Yeah, to some extent. But if you're playing against a team that is really, really hungry and really talented, you might be leading after 4 or 5 innings, but you're probably not going to be leading after 9, no matter how free and easy you play.
Now, I've heard you say many times on this show that you got to know your players. Yep. You got to know what they're made of. Yep. You got to know, can they handle the big moment? You see certain players that just love the moment. They come up big in key spots. I'm thinking of guys like a Freddie Freeman comes to my mind, right off the top of the head. He's
pretty clutch.
Yeah. Nothing's really too big. And then you see other guys, and I don't want to get too names because there's some of them the Giants, and I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but guys that just can't come through. They strike out. They don't produce. They don't get RBIs. They don't drive in the runs. Are there guys that, in your experience, that maybe the moment is too big for them and they prefer coming up when things are not so stressful? It's just
no doubt.
Okay.
No doubt. I tried to imagine any player that I had an interest in or had on the team. I tried to imagine them in a key spot in October and what I could reasonably expect to happen. And, there's a handful that I said, we'll have to be really lucky. If it's a hitter, we'll have to have a pitcher on the mound against us that is not as strong as the hitter, psychologically. And that can happen too. But, you get a feel for it. I mean, that's why you watch the game, and analytics is great, but, analytics isn't necessarily going to tell you, I don't know if I've ever seen a courage meter on an analytics scale, for the moment. Some people live for the moment. There's a long list of players who were reserves or players who were, not maybe the 6th or 7th best hitter on a team, that when it gets to October, they can't wait.
Yeah.
Dodgers got one. Kike Hernandez.
He hits
210, 200 all year long, and then the playoffs come and boom.
Yeah.
He's one of the best hitters in October.
Yeah.
He's got maybe more. He might be I've not ever looked this up, but I'm guessing if he might be in the top 10 all time in postseason home runs.
Interesting. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was top 15, probably for sure.
Reggie Jackson, we think of Mr. October. Yeah. Jock Peterson had a few good Octobers.
Yes.
The kid, I'm forgetting his name all of a sudden, and I'm sure you remember the kid in, I think it was the 2011 World Series against the Cardinals in Texas. This guy, David, he played with the Dodgers. David Freese, yes.
Oh, yeah, but he was a very accomplished player, too.
Yeah, but man, did he come through in the clutch.
I'm looking up Kike Hernandez right here. I'm just curious about this.
How many?
We can keep talking.
How many home runs he has in the postseason?
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. I've sure seen a few in the last couple of years where he's. And speaking of postseason, this is going to be. Is this going to be the 11th or 12th consecutive season the Dodgers have made the playoffs? Since 2013. Last year they were.
Yeah, 13 or 14 were my last 2 years. We started this incredible drive.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 20. This is the 13th straight year that the Dodgers are in the playoffs. And in that same time frame, the Giants made it in 14, 16, and 21. So 3 out of 13 where the Dodgers are 13-13. That's got to disturb somebody up in the front office of San Francisco, I would think.
I would think so. So here's Kike Hernandez. He has 15 postseason home runs.
Wow. 15? What's 15. The most?
I'm looking.
Interesting. Yeah. While you're looking at that, we're getting a question from the chat that says, ask Ned, what would you do with Eldridge? He plays first base and Rafi Devers plays first base. Would you DH a 20-year-old or 21-year-old full time, or would you try to mix that, give him some play? Does it matter for players to be just a DH at that age or any age?
I think you got to know what Devers can do, wants to do. I mean, that's kind of how he got here.
Yeah.
Right. So, you start with that. I think a guy like Eldridge, in the right situations, needs at-bats, needs experience. However that shows up, that's a key thing.
Now
he needs the experience, which counters him coming out of, coming out of the game tonight.
Yeah. Now he's on record on video when he was just before he got drafted that he saw himself someday as a major league outfielder. He says, I love playing centers, but I'm probably more suited for a corner at that level. We see a lot of 6'7" guys now playing outfield. Aaron Judge is one. There's a couple, not a lot of 6'7" guys, but we're seeing guys in their 6'4", 6'5". The Giants have one in Encarnacion that plays an adequate right field. He's not, a Gold Glover by any means. But do you think it's more important for a young kid who's 20, 21 to be more in the game, or some guys just handle it getting 4 at bats and then
you just need experience, whatever that's going to be. However you can get it, you just need it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And hitting is maybe one of the toughest things you do in any sport. So if you don't have a place for him except the DH, you still got to give him at bats, I think.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea that he's up right now, because I think a guy, even though it's only 9 more games, this is invaluable experience for the offseason. He gets to see what big league pitching looks like in a playoff chase. And that's something that he can take and say, okay, I got a lot of work to do in the offseason. I got to make some adjustments here. They're going to
no doubt.
pitch.
That's why he needs
pitch.
the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we just got a few more minutes before we let Ned go. He was gracious enough to come on tonight for an hour. He's got a lot of stuff going on with the San Jose Sharks. You want to tell us anything about the Sharks? What's going on right now? We got a few Sharks fans in here.
We just got done with the rookie tournament down in Anaheim last weekend, and then camp opened. And we're, as I look at the choices we have, it's how we're going to do it. I can't answer that, but I do know that there's huge progress, and there's competition for opportunity, not just at the NHL level, but also the AHL level. And you're talking about a team that made it to the second round last year in the playoffs, the Barracuda. So things are looking up. They're so many good young players, and competition makes you better. Internal competition makes you better. And we haven't in the last couple of years haven't always had a lot of internal competition, but that's changing. And there's battles going on for NHL spots, and there's battles going on for AHL spots versus EHL spots. And I don't know if we're changing Will Smith's position yet. A lot depends on what else is going on. But can he play the wing? Yeah, he can. But he's also an excellent center. So, one thing that, how I've looked at sport for a long time is everything is fluid. If we did this show in March, we'd be talking about who's going to be on the opening day lineup. You know what the opening day how long the opening day lineup is good? 1 day.
Yeah.
Everything changes. So, people are flexible. You got to be flexible. The sports are far more flexible than ever. You've got players that play 3, 4, 5 different positions now. You might have one player that could play 2 or 3 positions. Now you've got probably 4 or 5 guys that are capable of playing all over the place. So, it's always a fluid situation. And it's no different if it's baseball or hockey or any other.
Yeah. One final question before we let you go. The way the Sharks are doing this, they're doing pretty much a full rebuild.
Yep.
And I want to know, how long does it generally take, you think, for a full rebuild to be Stanley Cup competitive on average? And does that different than rebuilding a baseball team time-wise?
Great question. That may be one of the best questions you ever asked, Danny, especially part 2. Hockey players can get drafted and in some cases make an immediate difference. Macklin Celebrini, to some extent, Will Smith, down the road, Dickinson, and so, that can happen. In baseball, it's rare that you're going to draft somebody at 18 years old and they're going to become one of the great players in baseball, the next April to October. It just doesn't happen. So it takes longer to do it, I think, in baseball than in hockey. But at the same time, there's another quality that is tougher to do. In baseball, you can buy your way out of a tough situation. If you're in a good market and your team is not very good, and you got an owner that wants to start to spend money and invest in free agency, and of course invest in your draft and your international signings, you can buy your way out to some extent.
Yeah, the Rangers did it a couple years ago with Seager and Simeon. They won a world championship.
In hockey, you can't do that because you got a hard cap. If a guy goes on long-term injury reserve, you got a little bit more flexibility. But it's you have to build it almost the most genuine way to build it which is you draft and you develop. And you add in some free agents here and there that are great with the young players, which Mike Greer has done, and set it up that way. But it's you can't buy your way out in the NHL. You just can't. The cap doesn't allow it. And the revenues aren't the same as they are in baseball. There's no National Hockey League team that has the revenues of the LA Dodgers. There's none. There may not be a division in the NHL combined that has the revenue of the LA Dodgers. So they can, they've developed their way in. We had a lot of good players in the system when I was there, and they've continued to do that. And they also get into the free agent market. Mookie Betts was a trade, but they kept him off the market. Shohei was a free agent. Freddie Freeman was a free agent. Teal was a free agent. Max Muncy was a free agent. On and on you go,
Yeah, Blake Snell.
Wasn't great, but turned into, it was to buy out the fee, that they could afford to buy him out, that Tampa couldn't do it.
Right.
Snell was a free agent.
Yeah.
You buy your way out. Yamamoto was an international sign, but a free agent. Sasaki is a free agent.
Yeah.
On and on. How many NHL teams have 7 or 8 or 9 of their top 10 players that came from the outside? You're not going to find it. It doesn't exist. It's a development league, and you better be able to draft, which the Sharks do great. Chris Mortensen and his group do a terrific job with it, and Chris Morehouse, and it's phenomenal. And that's the way you do it.
Yeah. There's one more quick question. Do you see a major league lockout with owners pushing for a salary cap like in the NHL?
Yeah, I think it'll be a bargaining play on both sides. But, I think everybody's making a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the uniform or you're not, or you're running the club.
Enough to go around for everybody.
In a tremendous spot. So who's willing to risk that? I don't know. I don't know who's willing to really risk that.
Yeah.
And sometimes the toughest fight in a CBA is and let's, to use this one, might be among the 30 MLB owners.
Yeah.
Because not everybody has the revenue of LA or New York. I'm sure the Giants' revenue is strong. Not everybody's got that revenue. Mets, and you got the revenue of the Sacramento A's, and you got the revenue of I don't think I've ever said that before, Sacramento A's.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Ned, we appreciate having you on. As Losty says, thank you, Ned. Always enjoy hearing your baseball wisdom. Continued success and health.
Oh, Steve, thank you.
All right.
Same to you. Best to you. Best to you, Dan.
Yeah. Thanks, Ned. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll catch up with you in the playoffs.
As they say in Dodgeland, tomorrow's Kershaw Day. We'll see you then.
All right. Take care. All right. Ned Colletti, everyone. All right. Fantastic. So there we go. The great Ned Colletti joined us here on NorCal Sports Network. And guys, I got so many coming in the chat here. We have over 700 watching right now. And it's always a treat when we can have Ned. I couldn't get to all of the chats because it's just I want to spend time with Ned. But Mark Graves, who's been a member for 13 months, both leagues combined only 8 300 hitters and only 64 players hitting higher than 261. That's pathetic. That is pathetic. Wow. Oh, wow. Well, guys, it's been a great night with Ned. Unfortunately, if you're a Giants fan, as I am, obviously, as you could see, the Giants have decided to go AWOL completely at the plate. The last, I can't remember. They have lost now 5 of 6. And remember, they were rolling, right? And after Patrick Bailey's grand slam last Friday night in San Francisco, the walk-off grand slam, the great bat flip by Patrick Bailey, and the Giants have pretty much come out and laid a giant goose egg ever since. Yeah, they put up 7 runs the next night, but this team is really a 500 team, guys, and it needs a ton of help. And I'll be talking more about it, but just in summing things up, I think the Giants are in big trouble. A lot of people feel positive going forward. Let me tell you reasons why I don't feel positive. Okay. I do not feel positive about the San Francisco Giants because of their pitching. Right now, their pitching is basically Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, and Justin Verlander, a 42-year-old. I don't know if Verlander comes back, and I don't know if he is going to be all that effective at 43. We'll see. Beyond that, the Giants have no pitching. They don't have a great bullpen. They don't have any number 4 or 5 they can count on. And as you can see in baseball, you need tons of starting pitching. You need 8 to 10 solid starters. The Giants just don't have it. So I think because of that, they're going to struggle to be more than a 500 team. They also have big holes at catcher. Bailey's a great defensive catcher, but he can't hit consistently. Matt Chapman cannot drive in runs. He's constantly striking out. That pitch tonight by Blake Trinan would have been behind the left hand. If a left-handed batter was in that box, it would have been behind him. That's how far he chased that ball. Absolutely pathetic. In fact, I think I have a video of it, guys. Let's see. I may have something to actually show you. Hold on. All right, here's the sequence tonight in the 7th inning. Take a look at that. There's Willy Adames taking called strike 3 right on the outside corner. And next, watch Chapman swing at this pitch so far outside. There's the pitch to Adames. Caught the corner right there, just caught it. Now look at Chapman. Look at that. Just whatever. Okay. Pretty bad, you know. So, hey, Cam, don't make you're talking about my good friend there, Los D. So be careful. Be careful, Cam. Los can handle himself, though. I think I've seen a few of his comebacks. You'll have a tough time taking down Los one-on-one. Yeah, that's a good name for him, Christopher. The Strikeout Twins. Instead of the Pacific Sock Exchange, let's come up with a name on NorCal Sports Network for Adames and Chapman. The K Kids. How about the K Kids? Let's put that up. Yeah. I got it. We'll make a little banner for that. Okay. Willy Adames and Matt Chapman. Hold on here. How about this, guys? There we go. Willy Adames and the K Kids. Maybe we should put the. Let me redo that. Let me. I need to edit that. There we go. Save. We got a little. The K Kids. That's it. The Whiff Brothers is pretty good too. Yeah. So why you bat these guys back to back? Look, the Giants are stuck with Adames for 6 more years. They're stuck with Chapman for 5 more years, and they've got Devers for 8 more years. Okay. The Giants have made their beds pretty much. Guys, I don't see this team getting out of this funk for a long time. For a long time. Until Eldridge is up and going, until some of the younger guys like Johnny Level comes up, and then you got Josar, Jesus Gonzalez come up. I think you're looking at the Giants being competitive probably in about 4 years. Okay. Give them 4 years. I think the next 3 seasons, unless they spend a ton of money, as Ned was talking about what the Dodgers have done, you are looking at a team that is going to struggle to score runs. Too many guys striking out. If Bailey's the catcher next year, you got to find contact players, okay? I don't see where this team's going to get better. I really don't. We've seen who they are. You got Devers, Chapman, and Adames. They're 3 highest paid players, and all of them have not showed up when it's counted. They stopped hitting. These last, 7, 8 games? Where have they been? Where have they been? Really, they kind of shot their wad, right? On that, it stopped in St. Louis when they lost the last 2. And then they came home, they beat Arizona for a couple, then they lost, and they beat the Dodgers, and then they lost 2, and then they lost 2 more, and then they won, and then they lost tonight. So this is the perfect definition, this San Francisco Giants club, of being a 500 team. And they got a lot of things to do in this offseason. I don't see where it gets better. You're going to have to spend a ton of money. Where would I put the money? Okay. I would put a ton of money into starting pitching and also strengthening the bullpen. I would look to try and find 2 more contact hitters to get into the lineup with Jung-Hoo Lee, whether that's a Steven Kwan from Cleveland, and you got to trade a Ramos. And I hate to trade Ramos because I actually like Ramos. I don't think he's the problem. Chapman, to me, is the biggest problem. And a lot of people go, whoa, Matt Chapman. Look, he costs you $25 million a year. And is he really that much better than Casey Schmidt? I mean, Schmidt's struggled at the plate. I get it. But has he struggled that much more than Chapman? He doesn't cost anything. And if you had him at third base, then you could go afford to go get a second baseman that actually can make some contact. Go find a second baseman that's got some speed and makes consistent contact and hits you 275 or better. That would help the team. But yes, I know, Cam, he's got a no-trade clause. Thank you for telling me that. I get it. He's got a no-trade clause. But you got to get creative. You got to try and say, look, we want to go younger. We got to start changing this around. You got to go talk to Chapman and see if he would agree to certain teams. And maybe you give him a $15 million bonus to say goodbye. You gotta do something creative. You can't keep running it back with, look, Chapman will be 33 next year. Okay. Adames will be 30. As players get older, bat speeds is the first thing to go. And Chapman is such a streaky hitter. He always has been. He's a 240 hitter. Okay. That strikes out 25 to 26% of the time. Bailey's not the answer. Right field's a hole. I don't know if Drew Gilbert's the answer. I love him in the outfield, and I love his attitude. I was watching a podcast earlier today with Mookie Betts and Logan Webb, which was pretty cool. They're just sitting on a couch, separate couches, talking. And Drew Gilbert came up, the subject of Drew Gilbert. Mookie asked Logan Webb about Drew Gilbert. Go watch that. Let me tell you what the name of the podcast is if you guys want to go watch it. It's very entertaining. It's hold on here. It's on YouTube, and you could check it out. I think it's Mookie Betts' podcast. I'm waiting for it to open up. Come on, hurry up and open up. Okay. It is called Logan Webb and Giants-Dodgers Rivalry, Wild All-Star Game Story with Mookie on Base. It's called On Base. Go check it out. It's about almost an hour-long interview with just them chatting. Pretty good. Couple of rivals, but episode 44, On Base, episode 44, Logan Webb on Giants-Dodgers Rivalry. So, pretty good. But you got to get creative, in my view. You can't. Chapman has been here 2 years, and they're a 500 team both seasons, and they added Willy Adames, and I don't know if ownership, what they're going to do. Is ownership going to keep spending money for a 500 team? Or are they going to say, tear it down? Big problem. This is not an easy solution because they're not winning with Devers. They haven't had a winning record with Rafael Devers. Okay? I've always wanted him to go younger, as Woodpit says. Get younger, including the manager. I've always wanted this team. Yeah. Now, if you spent the money and went and got Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker, now you're talking. You're talking two guys that can make more contact. Bo Bichette is a really good hitter. But if you're not going to go out and get a Bo Bichette and a Kyle Tucker type, but see, I don't think that doesn't completely solve the problem because the Giants don't have the pitching to get through 162. The Giants have enough pitching to get them through 100 games, period. That's it. They can go 100 games, and that's it. They haven't built up enough solid pitching. Baseball's 162 games, and guys need to regroup. I was listening to that Mookie Betts podcast, and he was even talking about load management. What's it like for pitchers? He was asking Logan Webb. He says, as a player, I'd love to play 162, but you really need time for the body to heal, to regroup yourself. 162 is a long haul. Then you're talking about playing maybe 20 plus playoff games or more. Yeah, it's not easy. And so the Giants don't have anything close to that. They don't have any stamina. They don't have any arms that are built up enough to go the long haul. So, George Curry says, Dan, get off the Chapman issue. Am I being reprimanded, George? He wanted to be here and others did not. He has hit the 5th most home runs in the first 2 years of a player's tenure. The problem is we have no number 4 hitter. Well, he is your number 4 hitter, George. That's the problem. He's your number 4 hitter. Where was he batting tonight? Where was he batting the last week? You're saying Chapman's not the issue, and you said the problem's our number 4 hitter, but he is your number 4 hitter. So how can he not be the problem when he's the number 4 hitter? That doesn't make sense to me, George. I don't get that. I think Chapman is, unless you're saying he's not a number 4 hitter, he's really a number 7 hitter in my view. That's where I would stick him. That's where I would stick Chapman, but you don't have enough good players in the lineup. So Chapman has to be your 4 or 5 hitter. And he comes up in clutch situations time and time and time again. You heard me ask Ned the question tonight. I didn't name names. I said, are certain players better for clutch and they can't handle the pressure? I think Chapman falls into that category. I really do. Does he come through at times? Yes. But does he come through like with the eye test where you say Matt Chapman is a clutch hitter? No way. No way. You'll never convince me that Matt Chapman is a clutch hitter. I don't care what the WAR says and all the statistics and the OPS. I see him more and more and more come up in key situations and fail to even make contact. Happens way, way too many times. So I think he's a huge problem on this team. He's one of the best third basemen I've ever seen play the game. He's phenomenal. I give him credit. He's a good base runner. He's a good teammate. He's a good clubhouse guy. All of the above. Matt Chapman, check mark. Check, 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 check. When it comes to clutch hitting, he doesn't cut it. Okay? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Matt Chapman, you stick him on the Dodgers and put him in the 7 hole, the guy's a hero in LA. He is not. The problem is, George says he's not a 4-hitter. Yeah, you're exactly right. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone else who can hit there either. That's obvious. Chapman should not bat 4. We would never say he's a clutch hitter. Yes, he's overpaid. I don't know about if he's being overlaid or not. I know he has one kid, but I don't know. But he's definitely overpaid. So, yeah, I would say that he should bat at the highest level in the Giants order. Even the Giants, the highest level I would have Matt Chapman would be 6th. I think he's better suited for 2nd or 7th, where he's done better. He needs to, you stick him in that 4 hole, he's trying too hard to hit a home run or smash the ball. At times, he just needs to just make contact and put the ball in play. He did it the other night with a sac fly. I think it might have been in Arizona. He hit a sac fly to right field, which was solid. Yeah, Dom Smith is a player the Giants really miss, because Dom Smith chokes up, makes contact. Dom Smith is pretty solid. The Giants are going to have to really, that's why I say I think they're 4 years away. I really do. I think the guy they drafted this year, their 1st-round pick from Tennessee, I think he's eventually going to become the 2nd baseman. I think in 3-4 years, probably 4 years, you're going to see Josar Jesus Gonzalez being your shortstop. And then you're going to see maybe a Walker Martin make the lineup. Maybe he can become a 3rd baseman. I don't know. But you're going to see a shift in about 4 years. You're going to see a group of these minor leaguers that are at San Jose right now. A couple of them are going to Richmond. You're going to see some of these guys start to come up to the big club. And I think that's when the Giants start to turn it around. I don't think, unless they go out and spend and have a payroll of over $250 million next year, I don't think the Giants are going to do anything but be what they have been since 2022, a 500 team. Stupid dumbass child says, Dan answers my question. I don't know what your question is. I've got 758 people watching, many of them on X, many on YouTube, but I'm one man right now handling the chat. I don't know what your question is. Maybe if you send it again, it'll come up to the top. I can't, I'm digging through here and looking for your question. I don't know what it is. So send it again. And if it's a good question, I'll I'll answer it. If it's not a good question, I probably won't. So Autumn Eclipse says, yeah, Dom Smith is our best pure hitter. He might be. Autumn. Okay. He says he feels bad. Go ahead and send another question. I like I said, the chat is okay. No problem. Just send it again, and because I try to. Let me see here. I'm just scrolling back. Could be a long time ago where you sent it, and I didn't even see it. All right, I'll wait for it to come through again. Is that you, Chardal? That sounds like Chardal. How many names do you have? That sounds like Chardal. I'm crying seriously. Yeah, that sounds like Chardal. Okay. All right. Hey, we came up with a new name tonight, guys. Willie Adames and Matt Chapman, the K Kids. You know, we had the Pacific Sock exchange with Will Clark and Kevin Mitchell. I don't know if we had a name for Bonds and Kent. We had a pretty good. What was the name for Willie McCovey and Willie Mays? They were known as something as well. But now we've got the K Kids, Pacific Strikeout Exchange. There we go. That's a good one too. Well, we might have to do a little vote coming up on a show here for just entertainment, because we got to run out the string of 9 more games. The season's over, guys, but we need to look at maybe some names. George Curry says Giants need to sign closer Robert Suarez. He is a free agent with San Diego. That would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That would help the Giants and hurt the Padres. Setup man Tyler Rogers, starter Ranger Suarez, sign Bo Bichette, and yes, trade Ramos and Bo Davidson for Stephen Kwan, trade Robbie Ray for prospects. George, you might be onto something. I could live with that. That's a plan that I can live with for sure. I mentioned the same thing about going out and getting Suarez. Yeah, Rogers would be a good setup. Suarez would be a heck of a sign. Bo Bichette, obviously. Yeah. Now, if the Giants were able to do something along what George is suggesting here in the offseason, then I would make a different take that the Giants are not going to be 4 years away. We'll see. If they don't do much adding because ownership doesn't want to spend, then they're going to be stuck. They're going to be stuck as a 4th place team. Hey, it looks like the Giants, for all intents and purposes, may be ending up in 4th place for the 4th straight year. Not good. Not good. When you're talking 4th place at a 500, you probably have more hope if you're a Rockies fan, because the Rockies are building something with younger players that are going to start coming in. Hey, I like that one too. The Big Whiff Machine. The Whiff Brothers, the Whiff Machine, the Mad Whiffers. Yeah, we got them all. We'll run a little contest. We'll get Dallas in here tomorrow night, hopefully. Lou will be back Saturday night with us. So I'm seeing trade Eldridge and Chapman for Skeens. Well, number one, I don't think the Pirates want Matt Chapman in his contract. So that's not going to happen. I would not trade Bryce Eldridge right now. The kid's 20 years old. You can see he's got the right makeup. Yeah, he's swinging and missing, but so does everybody else. They had 14 strikeouts. But look at the balls he's hit, guys. He's hit 3 over 100 plus miles per hour. And he's hit them very solid. 2 that looked like they were going to get out of the park. So I am not ready to give up and trade Bryce Eldridge right now. He might be the brightest spot that the organization has. In fact, he is. Okay. So Just be patient with the guy. He's 20 years old. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. All right. Let's see. So let me see. I'm seeing some comments. All right. All right, guys. I think it is time. Let me see. All right, everybody. Thanks for being part of NorCal Sports Network. We've got all kinds of names coming in for the K kids. That's Willie Adames and Matt Chapman, the 3-4 hole. Maybe one big hole right there. We've got the wind generators, the whiff masters. We got all kinds of names coming in for these guys. The big whiff machine, the say hey whiff brothers. How about that? The say hey whiff brothers. The mad whiffers. All right, we got them all. Called Chapman, Jesse Pinkman. Okay. All right. The Pacific Knot Exchange. That's a good one. Yeah, it happens too frequently, guys. The Pacific Strikeout Exchange. There we go. All right, guys. Tomorrow night, Giants, Dodgers again. We'll be back about 10 o'clock tomorrow night again after Robbie Ray takes the mound against Clayton Kershaw. So bring it right here on NorCal Sports Network. Make sure you hit that like button, guys. Smash that like button. We really appreciate it. It helps the algorithms. We will see you tomorrow night. Take care, everyone.